Let's talk about Python. We will dive deeper into filter today. In our daily programming, we often encounter situations where we need to filter and extract useful data from a collection based on a specific criteria. So let's assume you are working on a project that deals with a huge list of customer orders, and some of these orders are marked as high priority. Out of these millions of orders, your task is to identify and process only the high priority ones. So let's do it. We do not have data right now, so I have already created a function called generate orders, which will create some dummy data for us to work with. We will call this function generate order for some 1,000 times. We will end up with 1,000 orders. We have another function called show data to see our orders. So as you can see, we have 1,000 orders ready with different priorities as high, medium, and low. Now let's start by looking at a basic way to filter out list of orders. So basically, mostly we do stuffs using for loops. How we do it? So first we need to create a list here to store our filtered orders. Then for order in orders, if order of priority equal to high priority order dot append order. Let's have a look on our filtered data. Cool, we have our filtered orders ready. What is the how many orders are high priority orders? So we will check using len function. So we have 346 high priority orders right now. While this for loop approach does the job, still there could be a better code for this. But before that, we will see why we should not use for loop. First reason for this is this approach could be slower for larger dataset. The for loop can become slower because it iterates through each item one by one, checking the condition, appending to the result list. Slower with larger dataset. And second problem is this method also uses more memory because it builds the result list explicitly, high priority order for our case, and loads all the filtered out object right into the memory at once. Not memory efficient. What else we could do here to make our program better? One way could be using the filter function in Python. A filter in Python is a built-in function that uses to extract or filter out items from a collection of data. So filter function accepts a function as its first argument that it applies to every element of an iterable, and only those elements that satisfy the function condition, that means where the function returns true, are kept. So since the filter function needs a function as its first parameter, let's quickly create a function. Our function name will be is high priority, that will accept an order object, and it will check if the order is high priority or not. And if it is a high priority order, it will return true. If it is not, it will return false. That's it. Next, we will call the filter function. So let's create a variable to store our filtered orders. High priority orders to filter. We have our function ready, is high priority, and we have our orders ready as well. Cool. Let's see our high priority orders. Homer, what is this? This is not what we are expecting here. We were expecting a list of filtered out orders, but looks like we got a Python object here. Why this is happening? This is happening because filter function in Python does not return a list, but a filter object. Now you might ask, why not filter just give us a list and make our life easier? Remember the for loop approach where I said, though this approach works, how it is not memory efficient. Now imagine you have a dataset with millions of records. This can take up a lot of memory, even if you don't plan to use all the filtered result at once. Lists are stored in memory all at once, meaning they occupy space for all elements immediately, even if you only need to process a few or probably in a sequence. So this filter object is done for efficiency. Python doesn't know if you want to use all the items in the filter list right away. So this saves the memory by not loading everything into a list immediately and returns a generator-like object. What is a generator now? A generator in Python is a special kind of iterator that produces items one at a time, only when you ask for them. So let me use next function on high priority orders. Next function is basically used on generator like object to retrieve the elements. So we get one value, not the entire orders. Again, if we do next, we get one more value. Think of it as a lazy data producer. It generates the next item only when you need it, which is why we call this as lazy evaluation. I will make a detailed video on generator as well. Please do subscribe so that you will get notified when I upload the video. Okay, coming back to our filter. So when Python returns a filter object, it behaves like a generator. So if you are working with a massive data set, Python won't load the entire filtered list into memory. Instead, it gives you each filtered item on demand, only when you ask for it, as we are asking for it using our next function. So that is how it is memory efficient. If you still want to see all the orders at once, you can use for loop to see the orders. Print order. Awesome. Here is our all the filtered orders. So what's happening here is that when you see a for loop with an iterator, it automatically calls the next function behind the scene to retrieve each item until the iterator is exhausted. Even though filter function returns a filter object, we can still convert it into a list if we need the data in a list format. Again, why our list is empty? Why there is no order? Just now we saw a lot of orders, right? So as we discussed before, when you use filter function, it returns an iterator. It generates each item one by one as you iterate over it. They don't store all the elements in memory. And one important concept about iterator is once you iterate over an iterator completely, it gets exhausted. This means that all element have been processed here, and if you try to iterate over it again, you will get an empty result like we got here. To handle the situation, what you can do here is, if you need to access the filtered result multiple times in your code, you need to convert it into a list or another data structure before itself, because filter object is a one-time use. So that's all about the filter function today. I hope you now have a clear understanding of how it works and why we should use filter to make our code more efficient. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on upcoming topics. Thank you.